Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's talk Spanish today.
Sounds good. It's a huge topic.
It really is. And it's not just some language spoken, far away anymore.
Not at all.
As of this year, 2024, there are over 600 million people worldwide speaking Spanish.
Wow.
That's like 7.5% of the whole planet. And get this, 499 million are native speakers. That makes Spanish the second biggest mother tongue globally.
Only behind Mandarin Chinese, right?
Exactly. And it's still growing. Around 24 million people are actively learning it right now.
Plus, it's official in 20 countries. And Puerto Rico, too.
Yeah. And here's a fact that really surprised me. The U.S. it now has the second largest Spanish-speaking population in the world.
More than Spain.
More than Spain.
Yeah.
Around 57 million people here. So the takeaway, it's just this massive expanding opportunity to connect with a huge part of the world.
It really is remarkable, that kind of scale, that growth. It means even knowing a little bit of Spanish can open doors.
Doors you might not even realize exist, right? For travel, for work.
Or just connecting with people right in your own community. It's increasingly relevant everywhere.
Exactly. And that's really our mission today in this deep dive. For those of you listening who aren't fluent in Espanol yet, we're digging into the most effective ways to learn it because it is becoming so vital.
And we get it, the idea of starting a new language, especially one this big, can feel, well, daunting.
Totally. You might be thinking, ay, Dios mío, where do I even begin?
Uh-huh.
But don't worry, we've really sifted through a lot of info language learning stats, cognitive science research, comparing different methods.
We looked at what actually works in practice.
Right. The goal is to give you a clear path forward.
Oh,
Focus on what truly matters and help you figure out the best way for you to start or maybe continue your Spanish adventure.
and one thing that came through loud and clear from all the research is there's no single best way.
That's important.
Yeah. The people who are most successful, they often mix and match different approaches. They find a combo that fits their style, their goals, even just how much time they have.
Okay, so let's get into some of those approaches. First up, language learning apps. You see them everywhere, right? Duolingo, Babbel, Rosetta Stone.
But they're often the first stop for people. Super convenient, right? That on your phone.
They're like the gateway drug to language learning. Makes sense. You can squeeze in practice whenever.
Absolutely. That accessibility and often the gamified aspect makes them a fantastic entry point.
For sure.
They can help you build that first bit of vocabulary, get a handle on basic grammar, and maybe, most importantly, build a regular learning habit.
Okay, let's break down a few big ones. Duolingo, that's the one that feels like a game, right? Earning points, keeping streaks.
Yeah, it's very motivating for a lot of people, and the free option is a huge plus for beginners.
True, though you do deal with ads and the whole hearts thing limiting mistakes.
Right. They have paid tiers. Super Duolingo gets rid of those limitations. That's about, what, $13 a month or $84 a year?
Something like that. And then there's Duolingo Max, which is pricier, $30 a month or $168 a year. And that adds AI features like roleplay.
Interesting. But for just starting out.
Yeah, what we found is the free or the super version is probably enough for most beginners to build a decent base. Vocab, basic grammar.
But the catch is?
The catch seems to be it might not, on its own, get you really comfortable speaking in real conversations.
That's a crucial point. Duolingo's great for vocab and making it fun, but all those translation exercises, they don't fully prep you for spontaneous chat.
Right, so you probably need to supplement it.
Exactly. Which brings us to others, like Babbel.
Babbel seems a bit different, more traditional maybe, more instructional.
Yeah, it focuses more on phrases you'd actually use in real life.
Yeah.
And it gives clearer grammar explanations.
Which can be really helpful, especially with things like Spanish verb conjugations. Those can be tricky.
Definitely. Babbel lays it out more explicitly. Plus, they have review quizzes and speech recognition to check your pronunciation.
But it's a paid app, right? After the trial.
Yes. Around $15 a month, usually cheaper if you buy longer plans. Sometimes they have a lifetime deal too, maybe around $299.
So its strength is really that solid foundation, especially the grammar part.
I'd say so. If you like a more structured, less game-like feel, it's a strong contender. That speech recognition is good early on too.
Okay, and then there's the classic, Rosetta Stone. Famous for Immersion, right?
Absolutely. It teaches you entirely in Spanish from day one, no English translations.
How does that work?
It links words and phrases directly to images, trying to get you to think in Spanish. They're very thorough on pronunciation and cover all the skills systematically.
That's the cost structure.
It's subscription-based, around $16 a month for 3 months, maybe $14 a month for a year. They also have a lifetime option, often discounted, maybe around $399.
So the pros are pronunciation, visual learning, thinking in Spanish.
Yes, but the con. That lack of English explanation can be frustrating for some beginners initially. It takes some patience.
Right. You have to be willing to kind of swim in it for a bit.
Exactly. The Immersion method trains your brain differently and more intuitively, but it requires letting go of that immediate translation crutch.
And there are other apps too, briefly.
Oh yeah. Memrise is great. Uses flashcards with videos of native speakers. Good for authentic pronunciation. Free and premium options there.
Okay.
Busuu has courses, and you can get feedback from native speakers on your writing and speaking. Also free and paid tiers.
And Pimsleur. That's audio-based.
Primarily audio, yeah. It now has an app subscription, maybe $15, $20 a month. Focuses on listening and speaking from the get-go.
So the general takeaway on apps is
Great for daily consistency, interactive practice on the move, but usually need to be part of a bigger picture for true fluency.
think of them as a tool in your caja de herramientas, your toolbox.
Exactly. A valuable tool, but often needs supplementing with things that get you actively producing the language speaking, writing.
Okay, so apps are one piece. What about more structured learning, like actual classes?
Right, universities, community colleges, adult evening classes, these offer big benefit. Well, university courses, though often pricey, maybe $1,200 plus per course if you're out of state, usually mean high-quality teaching, regular practice, a solid curriculum.
More affordable options.
Definitely. Community colleges are much cheaper, maybe $230 a semester in California, for example. Adult ed classes can be $100 to $300 for a shorter session.
And the real value there is the live interaction, I imagine.
Huge value. Talking with the instructor, getting immediate feedback, practicing with classmates, that's gold.
Yeah, getting pronunciation corrected in real time, actually trying to speak.
It builds confidence and solidifies things way faster than just passive learning. You can't really replicate that easily on your own.
What about private options? Language schools or tutors?
Private language schools exist, maybe around $300 for 10 weeks, something like that. Tutors are another great option.
How much do tutors typically cost?
Online, you might find rates from $10 to $25 an hour. In person usually costs more.
And the big advantage with a tutor is that personalization.
Totally. Tailored lessons, focusing on your weak spots, flexible scheduling. It's a fantastic supplement, or even primary method for some. Online platforms make finding them easier now, too.
And don't forget, potentially free options. Libraries, community workshops.
Absolutely. Always worth checking locally. Even informal conversation groups offer valuable practice. Again, it's that live interaction.
Okay, moving from structured classes to self-study. This seems super flexible and potentially very cheap.
It is. Offers huge flexibility and can be very cost-effective. Textbooks are a cornerstone here.
Any recommendations?
Well, classics like Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish focuses on cognados, those similar words.
Cognates, yeah. Makes it easier.
Right. Or comprehensive guides like Spanish All-in-One for Dummies, usually $15 to $30.
And workbooks.
The Practice Makes Perfect series is great for drilling specific skills, maybe $10, $15 each. Easy Spanish Step by Step is popular for its gradual approach, too.
So textbooks give you that logical structure.
Exactly. They make sure you cover the key stuff in order, which can be tricky if you're just grabbing free bits online.
What about audio courses for self-study? Good for training the ear.
Excellent for listening comprehension and pronunciation. Pimsleur Spanish is well known, now mostly via that app subscription, around $20 a month. Older CD MP3 sets might be findable, maybe $150 per level, or check the library.
O'Shell Thomas?
Also popular, often praised for intuitive grammar explanations, around $100 or via Audible. And a fantastic free one is the Language Transfer Complete Spanish Podcast, 90 lessons, totally free.
Wow, free is good.
Audio courses really push you to speak from day one, repeating and responding.
And then there's the internet, a goldmine, right?
Absolutely. Websites like Spanish Dict, studyspanish.com, tons of free grammar lessons, exercises. Anki for flashcards using spaced repetition. We'll talk more about that. It's free. You can find pre-made decks.
YouTube.
Packed. Channels like Spanish Pod 101, Butterfly Spanish, Holosoy German, lessons, culture, everything. Combining these self-study resources is often the way to go.
But the challenge with self-study is discipline.
Totally. You need discipline, realistic goals, a schedule. And crucially, you have to practice output. Writing, trying to speak, even just talking to yourself.
Okay, getting that speaking practice is key, which leads us to language exchange and immersion. How do beginners get into this?
Language exchange is fantastic. It's mutual practice with native speakers. Apps like HelloTalk and Tandem connect you with Spanish speakers learning your language.
Are they free?
Basic levels usually are, yeah. Premium options add features. You can text, send voice messages, do calls. They often have built-in translation and correction tools, too.
So direct access to native speakers, learning slang.
Exactly. Colloquial stuff, different accents, culture. It's great for low-pressure practice. You just need to be a bit proactive. Start conversations. No tengas miedo.
Don't be afraid. Good advice.
Yeah.
And it's not just online, right? Meetups.
Yeah, check sites like meetup.com. Many cities have in-person language exchange groups, often free or low cost. Priceless live speaking and listening practice.
Even just listening helps tune your ear.
Definitely. Just being in that environment helps.
What about full immersion, like going abroad?
That's often seen as the fast track. Intensive language schools abroad are popular. Costs vary hugely, though.
Latin America cheaper than Spain, generally.
Usually, yes. You might find a week in Guatemala, classes plus homestay for maybe $200, $300. Spain could be $1,000 plus a week, easily.
Intense programs, right? Lots of class hours.
Yeah, plus cultural activities, really living the language, even a few weeks can make a massive difference.
Big commitment, though. Time and money.
It is. Study abroad programs through universities are another option for students. But even if you can't travel,
You can simulate it at home.
sort of, surround yourself with Spanish media, movies, music, podcasts, go to local Hispanic events, set your phone to Spanish.
Bold move.
The key is early. Consistent interaction in Spanish builds confidence and shows you how your study applies for real.
Now, something newer AI tools. How are they fitting in?
AI is bringing some really interesting stuff. ChatGPT, for example. You can use the free version for text-based conversation practice, asking grammar questions.
24/7 practice partner that doesn't judge your mistakes.
Exactly. Non-judgmental practice. ChatGPT Plus is better, but costs. Google has NotebookLM, experimental, for summarizing and quizzing on Spanish content.
And AI tutors in apps.
We mentioned Duolingo Max's roleplay. Others like Babbel and Busuu might add more AI features. There are also standalone AI chat apps like Langua or Polygloss.
So AI is a supplement. Extra practice, instant feedback.
Precisely. It's exciting, great for extra reps and immediate answers, but it's not, a replacement for real human interaction and cultural understanding.
So it really sounds like mixing methods is the way to go. App for vocab, class for structure, exchange partner for chat.
That's usually the best recipe, yeah. A well-rounded approach. Balances formal study with practice, input with output. Keeps it interesting, too. Tailor it to yourself.
Okay, so we've covered the what's the approaches. Let's dig into the how. Effective learning strategies, especially for adults.
Right. Crucial thing for adults. Consistency and smart practice beat intense, irregular cramming every time.
Makes sense. What's a smart practice technique?
Spaced repetition systems, SRS. This is huge for vocabulary. Reviewing info at increasing intervals just before you forget it.
Like those flashcard apps, Anki and Memrise.
Exactly. They use algorithms to schedule reviews. It massively boosts long-term memory. Frequent short reviews are way better than long, infrequent ones.
Got it. Little reminders at the right time. What else?
Comprehensible input. This comes from Stephen Krashen's research. Engage with Spanish you can mostly understand.
Of 90% understand, 10% new stuff.
Something like that, the I+1 level.
Sure.
Just slightly challenging, but not overwhelming. Start with simple stuff, kids' books, learner podcasts. Absorb it naturally by understanding the message.
Find that sweet spot. Challenging, but not frustrating.
Yes. And then gradually increase the difficulty as you improve.
Okay. What other strategies work well for adults?
Active recall. This is super important. Make your brain retrieve the information. Don't just passively reread.
How do you do that?
Use flashcards where you try to say the Spanish before flipping. Write sentences from memory. Explain a grammar rule out loud without notes. That effort of retrieval really cements the learning. It's called the testing effect.
Makes your brain work harder, makes it stick better.
Exactly. And work on all 4 skills. Listening, speaking, reading, writing.
They reinforce each other, right?
Absolutely. Maybe you start with more listening and reading, but bring in speaking and writing early. A possible balance could be like 40% listening, 30% reading, 20% speaking, 10% writing, especially early on. But the key is engaging all of them.
And feedback. Getting corrected.
Crucial. Seek feedback from teachers, tutors, exchange partners. Learn from your mistakes. Maybe keep an error log to spot patterns.
Now the big question, how long does it actually take to get fluent?
The $1 million question. It really, really depends On your goals, how much time you put in.
But are there rough estimates
Yeah.
using those CEFR levels?
Yeah, as a very rough guide. A1, basic intro stuff, maybe 70 and 100 hours. So 2-3 months at an hour a day. A2, simple conversations on familiar topics, maybe 150, 200 hours total. B1, holding basic conversations on everyday things, could be 300, 400 hours. That's maybe 1 to 1.5 years at an hour a day.
And B2, upper intermediate.
Maybe 500, 600 hours, perhaps 2+ years of consistent effort. The FSI Foreign Service Institute estimates 600, 750 class hours for professional working proficiency, which is intensive.
So these are just ballpark figures. Intensity matters hugely.
Hugely. Set milestones, be patient, celebrate progress.
What about common hurdles for beginners? How do you get past them? Like motivation?
Staying motivated, yeah, that's big. Connect to your why. Why do you want to learn? Set small, achievable goals. Reward yourself. Vary your study methods so it doesn't get boring. Track your progress. Seeing how far you've come helps.
Fear of speaking, that's a huge one.
Oh yeah. Start small, low-pressure situations. Realize mistakes are normal, necessary even. Focus on progress, not perfection. Find supportive partners. Gently push your comfort zone.
Consistency and time management for busy people.
Build a routine. Even 15-20 minutes daily is powerful. Habit stacking helps link Spanish study to something you already do. Keep materials handy. Use those little moments micro-learning.
Grammar frustration. Spanish grammar can seem complex.
It can be. Approach it gradually. Focus on high-frequency rules first. Notice grammar in context when you read or listen. Find different explanations if one isn't clicking. Prioritize communication over perfect grammar, especially at first. Be patient.
Vocabulary overload. So many words.
Focus on common, relevant words first. Themed lists can help. Use visual aids. Keep a personal notebook. Use spaced repetition. And most importantly, use the new words and sentences. Make them active.
Those are great practical tips. So building a routine you can actually stick with. What's the secret?
Make it daily, or almost daily. Consistency trumps intensity.
Even short sessions.
Especially short sessions if they're consistent. Mix routine with variety to keep it fresh. Use habit hack stacking, environment design, accountability partners.
And balance. Don't burn out.
Crucial. Allow for light days. Prioritize sleep. It helps consolidate learning. Reflect on what's working. Adjust as needed.
Immerse yourself in daily life too.
Yes. Spanish entertainment. Change your phone language. Find recipes. Pursue hobbies in Spanish if possible. Find community forums, study groups. Support makes a big difference. The best routine is one you enjoy enough to keep doing.
Okay, final big topic. Spanish variation. So many countries, different ways of speaking. Is that intimidating?
It can seem that way, but the key thing for beginners is most dialects are mutually intelligible. You'll understand and be understood.
What are the main differences people talk about? Spain versus Latin America.
That's the big one people often discuss. Pronunciation is noticeable. Spain has the Castilian lisp C before ENZ sound like "the." Latin America uses an ES sound.
And other pronunciation things.
Yeah, Argentina and Uruguay often have a sh or z sound for what, and vocabulary differs too. Lots of different words for common things.
Like computer.
Ordenador in Spain, computadora in Latin America. Car is coche versus caro or auto. Cell phone, mobile versus cellular. Juice, zumo versus jugo. Lots of examples like that.
But people usually understand both.
Generally, yes, from context. Grammar has a key difference too. Vosotros for informal you all in Spain. Latin America just uses ustedes for all, plural you.
Simpler in Latin America then.
In that respect, yes. Ustedes is formal, plural in Spain, and then there's voseo using vos instead of tu in places like Argentina, but honestly, don't sweat these differences too much at the start.
So which dialect should a beginner aim for?
Any dialect works for communication, but often a neutral Latin American Spanish is recommended as a starting point.
Why?
It avoids vosotros, uses widely understood pronunciation and vocabulary. It gives a solid, broadly applicable base. Native speakers are used to variations anyway and will understand you.
So this idea of neutral Spanish, what exactly is it?
It's basically an attempt to use vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation that's understood across the board. Think international media, dubbed films, news. They try to minimize regionalisms.
What are its features?
Commonly understood words. Bolígrafo for pen, auto for car, often a generic Latin American accent, standard grammar, ustedes for plural you, no voseo.
And why is that useful for beginners?
It provides a solid, widely applicable foundation. Simplifies things, initially focus on one word, one form. aligns with many textbooks and the real Academia Española standards.
So it's a practical starting point.
Very practical. Ensures broad communication. You can always learn regional specifics later if you need or want to. No one speaks perfectly neutral Spanish naturally, but learning that standard first is efficient.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Start broad, then specialize if needed.
Exactly. Build that strong core understanding first. Then you can explore all the fascinating variations.
This has been incredibly helpful. Such a thorough deep dive. As we wrap up, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the main thing is just how many exciting possibilities learning Spanish opens up. Career advantages, definitely. Cognitive benefits, sharper memory, better attention.
The bilingual bonus in some jobs.
Yeah, potentially higher pay too, but also deeper cultural enrichment, enjoying books, films, music in the original, and much richer travel experiences.
It really connects you on a different level.
It does. And remember, the cognitive boost learning languages is great brain training. You're joining this huge, vibrant global community.
Absolutely. It's more than just grammar, it's connection.
And feel empowered. We talked about so many ways to learn apps, classes, self-study, exchange, AI. There is a path that fits you, your style, your time.
Find what works for you.
Exactly. Consistency and finding a personalized approach you can stick with, maybe even enjoy. Those are the real keys.
So, our final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah.
No matter which dialect you end up hearing or speaking, just by starting, by exploring these resources, by doing your own deep dive, you're joining this incredible global community of hundreds of millions. You're unlocking a world of connection and discovery.
So go for it. Así que adelante.